You got a subscription to ChatGPT and connect it to your database. You set up your first automation and run it. You're excited about the results. Then you see the outcome, which just sucks. Now, the problem isn't the tool. The problem is you're trying to build the road before you know the destination. In this video, I'm going to go over the three-part framework that I use in my business and with clients to prevent this problem from occurring. That framework is very simple. It's destination, map, tools in that order because that's the only order in which it works. Now, before I go into more details on that, I just want to bring up something I went over on the last video, which is that this YouTube channel is going to be different than a lot of others because I'm not going to be here to pump you up about the latest AI tool that got released last week that's going to be outdated by next week that does all these fancy things. That's a shiny object that gets people's interest and is fun, but it doesn't necessarily get you using the tools in your business to get the results. I'm more focused on implementation, and so that's what I'm going to be going over in the videos on this channel. And we're going to be going over one of these things today is how to implement things and get results. This is the basic framework we went over. Now, the first thing I said is destination. That's the first step, which can also be called outcome. So first thing that you have to do is clearly define what the outcome is that you're trying to get. Let me get this stretched back out again so that we can do this step. This is the fun part of doing these recordings and using technology. All right. So now what we're going to do is take a business like a local business that sells gardening supplies. And we're going to be doing the outcome or destination for the order processing process of the business. So you have somebody who places an order. Ultimately, they get their order. So you could say that the outcome is customer gets what they ordered. So now you might say, okay, so now we've defined that, but see, it's not a complete description of what the outcome is that you're going for. And I'll show you why. Because they get what they ordered, but it's in a package that's damaged, or they have to wait 2 weeks to get it when they were supposed to get it in 1 day. So we have to clarify that even further so the customer gets what they ordered efficiently and in a way that creates an exceptional customer experience. So now that's a better outcome as far as not only does the customer get what they ordered, but it's done in a way where it builds the reputation of your business and a lifelong customer, hopefully. But it's still not quite complete because you have to have this and all the data regarding the transaction and the customer is recorded in the system in a way that it can be used in the future to better service that customer and build the business. So now we have a more complete description of what we want as far as the outcome of an order that comes in and order processing. So now that we have an outcome, we have to look at how do we get that. So this is where we build the map. And so we have basic steps of the map already. I put these here rather than taking the time on the video to put them here. We have an order that's placed by a phone call or a text to a salesperson, an order placed using an online form. This is all coming from my experience of working with some local businesses and helping them transform their business from one that's done all on paper or just through their cell phones to one that's more automated where the owner doesn't have to constantly be watching their phone or digging through a file cabinet to find information and help their customers out. So we have an order that's placed, the order gets processed, it gets prepared, it's placed in an area for delivery or pickup, and the customer gets the order. So that could look like a decent map, but the problem is it's not complete because it doesn't cover all the different points in the outcome that we described here, which is why this has to be done first. So we can take a look at this, and by the way, just if you're wondering, the tool that I'm using is called Excalidraw, which you can find at app.excalidraw.com. There'll be a link to it in the description of this video below if you're interested in checking it out. I use it because it's very simple. You can customize your map. There's other ones that are much more complex that may be good for other businesses or other types of workflows, but this seems to work very well for this. All right, so we have the order placed, and what has to happen next is that the order has to go into the system. Order info into the system. All right, so then the order gets into the system. It doesn't automatically get processed because before the order gets processed, the processing, let's make this easier. Processing department gets notification of the new order. So there has to be some way that the person or the department that does the processing gets notified that there's an order. So they receive the order, they process the order. Say it's a small company, this gardening company, same person that processes the order, then prepares the order, and then the orders are placed in an area where it's either going to be picked up by the customer or it's going to be delivered to the customer and the customer gets the order. But we're still, the map isn't quite complete. So say that we have the same person doing these two things. We still need to have something that occurs here, which is the system gets updated. Okay, so now the system gets updated. And say that they then place the order in the area for delivery or pickup. Well, then we need another step here. So over here we have, let's see, okay. So there's a notification that order is ready for pickup or delivery. Good. So then customer gets the order, it's either delivered to them or they get it picked up. And we're still missing another step here. So that would be, oops, here we go. System gets updated. So that all the information from the point that the order is placed to the point where it's processed, prepared, is all put into the system. And when it gets delivered, it gets updated again. So that looks pretty good so far. We could do, see, we can even put little arrows in here showing how this flows. And let's do that. We can put arrows between all the steps to show that this is how the process goes. So now we have more of a map here. Yeah, there we go. But if we go back and we take a look at the outcome, we're not necessarily finished here, because how do we make sure that the person that is the customer has an exceptional customer experience? How do we know that the order processor misses the notification and doesn't process it and never gets to the customer, or it never gets delivered? So maybe what we need to include here is we need to include notification to store manager of new order. Okay, so that would be helpful so that they know that the order has come in and that they need to watch it. So that's great, but they'll get busy. So then what we can do is we can also have an hourly, oops, notification of orders and statuses. So then what happens is once this order comes in and the info gets into the system, there's a notification sent to the manager, and there's an automation that's set up that will send out an hourly notification of any of the orders that are in the system and what stage of the map that they're at. Good. Now we can go into further depth. This is to give you an idea of what you should be doing as far as mapping out a process in your business that you want to automate or add AI to, and what I do with businesses that I work with once I have an understanding of how that goes. Now we have the third step. So we've got the outcome, we've got the map, and so the third thing is the tools. So now we start looking at what tools are needed to be able to get these actions to occur and to get the outcome. So I'm going to drag these up so that they're available. So these are some different tools. There's probably going to be a lot more over time that you'll be aware of. So Telegram is an app on a phone where a person can talk into it, and it can be connected to a database so that if you have a salesperson that gets a phone call or a text for an order and they're not at a computer, they can still get it put into the system to get the process moving so that the customer gets their order quickly. And what they do is they will talk into the Telegram app. The Telegram app connects to the database through this one thing called N8N, which is a connector between different types of software or tools. And so Telegram, we get the salesperson who talks into the Telegram app. Telegram app then connects to this other tool, N8N, the connector. And what that does is that connects and sends the information into the database in the system. So all of that occurs that way. Now, you also would have to have a database. Some businesses don't at this point in time, and it's hard for them to keep track of things. And so this doesn't get done the way that it should be, and we don't get the outcome we want. So there's the database setup, and then we're going to have, say, an email notification of the hourly statuses, and we're going to have a text and an email notification that goes to the processing department. So this is how you set this up and determine which tools are used at which point in time. But again, the tools get set up or determined as far as which ones need to be used after you have this map. So then you can take a look at the map and go, okay, so what is it that has to happen at this step? What is the tool that we can use that would most effectively do that? So again, the 3 steps of the framework are 1, outcome, 2, map, and 3, tools. That way, if you do it in that sequence, you will be able to get the best possible result, the best possible outcome from the processes in your business, and have the happiest customers because they get the best possible experience because things go as smoothly as possible. So I wanted to go over this with you so that you could understand what you need to have in place to get the best possible results from using AI and automation tools in your business. And I want to thank you for staying through with me through the end of this video. And for those of you that have commented or liked past videos, that really helps me a lot, and I really appreciate it. There's going to be a lot more videos coming up in the future going over specific tools, how they work, some more on these different workflows. And if you have any topics that you'd like me to cover, please comment. Put in the comments what you'd like to hear. And if you are looking at this video and you go, well, I'd really like to have this done in my business, but I don't have the time or patience or interest in doing it, I'd be happy to see if we can work together and I can help you with that. So down in the description below, I have a link to a quiz that you can go through to see where you're at in your AI readiness stages, and also a link if you want to just set up a time to have a Zoom call with me to discuss where things are in your business to see if this is something that could help you. Again, thank you for joining me. I'll look forward to seeing you in the next videos.